We are Teachers College, the first and biggest school of education in the nation. Here, in a single square block in the heart of New York City, we have invented and reinvented the modern K-12 classroom and the community school. We've launched and reshaped so many fields of inquiry in education, health, psychology, policy, and leadership. And today, we're shaping the future in racial literacy, education in human sexuality, nutrition policy, community health, global mental health, and emotional and psychological resilience. From generation to generation, our faculty, students, and graduates have tackled society's most pressing challenges and improved the lives of the people and communities we've served. Think of us as an incubator and accelerator for creating a better world. So tune in to Teachers College, the premier address for informed conversations about how to create a healthier, better educated, more equitable, and more just world. No matter where you are, you're right in our neighborhood.
Okay, let's try that again, unmuted. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, TC community, and happy Friday. I imagine that many of us are thankful that the weekend is near, and I hope it is a restful one for you all. My name is Rashidah Bowen White. I am a lecturer in the Department of Counseling and Clinical Psychology, and I would like to welcome you all to this town hall, which is focused on our health and well-being in these extraordinary times. Our goal for this event is to provide you, members of the TC community, with tools and resources from TC experts that we hope will support you in coping with the current state of our world, but also to simply provide a space in this virtual world that we're living in for connection, which is so important right now. We will hear later from experts, including Dr. Carol Ewing Garber, Professor of Movement Sciences and Biobehavioral Sciences, Dr. Traci Stein, Adjunct Assistant Professor of Psychology and Education, Harry Alvia, Director of Human Resources, Benefits and Compensation, and Matt Vincent, Committee on Caring for Our Community. So we really have a wonderful program planned, and I'm hopeful that you will all walk away with some helpful tools and resources. But I also hope that you will leave this virtual gathering feeling a little bit more connected to our community, knowing that there is an authentic desire to support the well-being of all members of the TC community. It can go without mentioning that we are in extraordinarily challenging times in the throes of a global pandemic that has resulted in a tremendous number of lives lost, has drastically changed our own livelihood personally, professionally, financially. There is continued racial injustice and racial violence that we are confronted with on a frequent basis. And of course, the political tensions, the uncertainty, that's shared by so many of us, so many people in the country right now and worldwide. So we are all impacted in some way, shape, or form. The APA, the American Psychological Association, recently conducted a poll and found that nearly 80% of adults say that the pandemic is a significant source of stress in their lives. And also more than half say that the socio-political issues facing our nation are overwhelming. And, look, I can share these experiences as a professional. I can attest to the ways in which our current circumstances has resulted in an increased stress. I, like many of you, have had to adjust to a new way of working. I'm a mother of a 2-year-old and a 7-month-old who was born in March at the height of the pandemic. And my goodness, parenting at a time of such uncertainty and unrest is certainly more than a notion. And then as a Black woman, the racial violence and the threat to Black lives and livelihoods is painfully frightening. Black, Indigenous, and people of color in general are disproportionately impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic and the compounded trauma of racial violence and injustice. Parents, the impact on parents is significant. There's some research that's suggesting that parents, and particularly those who are expecting a child or recently had a child, and those parents who are having financial difficulties meeting the basic needs of their children, are at significant risk for clinical levels of anxiety and depression. And even if you don't fall into one of these subgroups, parents are struggling to work and care for their children and manage their children's education at the same time, leading to many parents and overwhelmingly women to have to leave the workforce. I think as of September, nearly 900,000 women had dropped out of the workforce. And while the stay-at-home edicts and the social distancing and telework has thankfully slowed the spread of coronavirus, it has also resulted in feelings of loneliness and isolation for so many of us, and particularly for individuals who are single and living alone. And then, we are, as we speak, awaiting results from an election that has so many of us on edge and fearful and anxious and concerned for the future of our country and our world. So the stress, the fear, the anxiety, and the loneliness and disconnection that so many of us are feeling right now based on our various cultural identities, our social positions, and other demographic characteristics is very real and very understandable. And it's important that we validate these emotions and experiences and acknowledge these factors, these very specific challenges that are having a significant impact on our mental health and well-being. And yet with all of this, and it is no doubt overwhelming, there are things that we can do to achieve greater peace and psychological well-being. And that is why we're here today, to talk about how we can take care of ourselves, but also the importance of taking care of each other. The importance of building community and connection cannot be understated or underestimated. It is, I believe, how we will heal. So these are incredibly difficult times, but I, for one, am hopeful. And during this time, I have relied on the wisdom of the giants who came before me. And lately, I have been repeating a remark made by James Baldwin, where he said, I can't be a pessimist because I'm alive. And so I have hope. I am motivated, and I'm motivated for change and for collective healing. And so with that, I would like to invite my colleagues to share their wisdom and their expertise on how we can support ourselves and one another in achieving a greater sense of well-being. And so first, I would like to introduce to you Dr. Carol Ewing Garber, Professor of Movement Sciences and Biobehavioral Sciences. Welcome, Carol. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rashidah. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for allowing me to spend some time with you today. I wanted to talk to you about some tools that you might be able to use to help managing the stress of our time and working home alone, working with your children around you, and wanted to give you something you can actually do that can help. Robert Butler, who was the founder of the National Institutes of Aging, said it famously, that if exercise was a pill, all of us would want to take it. But I'm sure when I tell you about exercise, perhaps for many of you, the first thing that comes to mind is, not for me. I hate exercise. Don't talk to me about that. And what I'd like to tell you about is one, why exercise can really benefit you, your physical and mental health. But most importantly, talk to you about the ways you can use movement. And it doesn't necessarily have to be exercise per se to help you through these times. So exercise has been found scientifically to have incredibly powerful effects on our physical and mental health. And we know that our physical and mental health are tied together. So better mental health will benefit our physical health and vice versa. But I'm going to talk today about mental health. So how can exercise help? Well, one, it can really help you feel better, just overall. It's been found to improve your brain health, so helps with attention. It helps your executive function, so your ability to working memory and being able to move from one thing to the next. It can help reduce the risk of depression, as well as help to improve any symptoms of depression. It can reduce anxiety, both right away after exercise, but also over the long term. It's been shown to be an effective tool to manage those feelings of anxiety and stress and depression. And I imagine some of you, like me, are having a lot of trouble sleeping with all that's going on. Even when we're trying to tune out the world, we're worrying about our family, our friends, and all of the noise that's around us. And believe it or not, exercise can help you fall asleep more easily. It can improve the quality of your sleep. So I'd really encourage you to think about how to improve your activity. So I wanted to talk to you again also about what kind of exercise. So any kind of movement is beneficial for your brain health. So for improving your mood and improving your sleep, helping you to deal with stress. So it doesn't really matter what you choose. And there are lots and lots of choices. The most important thing is to move. And to move in a way that is enjoyable for you. So whether it's turning on music and starting to dance, or going for a walk outside and getting opportunity to separate from the stresses of your daily life. Going to the gym is not an option for many of us with the quarantine and worries about COVID, but there are lots of resources to move in your home. You can find lots of videos online that are free, and there are, of course, many virtual exercise classes and sessions that you can find that might fit your particular enjoyment. So just move. You don't like to exercise. I know all of us are on Zoom all day or feeling pretty glued to our seat. Just try to get up periodically in between your Zoom sessions, move around your apartment, step outside, do some stretching. If you have some weights, you can do a little weightlifting. There's really a whole host of things that you can do. I'm going to direct you to our clinic. So the Exert Clinic is a clinic for exercise prescription and counseling. Under non-COVID times, we work out of the Applied Physiology Laboratory in the Department of Biobehavioral Sciences. But we're not working in person right now, but we're offering counseling, virtual exercise advice, as well as some nutrition advice under the direction of graduate students who work under me in the lab, and they will meet with you confidentially, help you to work through ways that you can move more, perhaps work with your eating so that you're not stress eating and COVID eating, and give you some advice. We're happy to meet with you individually. We'd love to meet with you with colleagues or your family, so that you can perhaps come up with ways that you can move with other people, which will help you feel less isolated and also provide some support for developing your exercise and movement routine. So please, you can email us. If you come to our website, you can actually make an appointment directly. We also have many different resources posted online, and those are changing regularly, where you can find different exercises that you can do, different resources for you, for your kids, for your friends. We'd really love to have you join us and work with you. If you would like us to come and work with your work group, we'd love to do that as well. So I'd like to just encourage you to move around, think about ways that you can just add a little movement to your lives. Pick something that might be fun and that you'll enjoy. Consider having some moving meetings. I know it's hard if you're having Zoom meetings, but we still have the ability to have communication using the telephone and other ways. So you might be able to do that as well. So please know that we're here to support you in your efforts and happy to help you come up with a movement plan that will work for you within your daily life. So on that note, I will turn our program back to Rashidah, and I wish you all a moving weekend.
Thank you, Carol. I so appreciate your comments about how movement doesn't necessarily have to look like traditional exercise. And just thinking lately in my home, we've been having dance parties in the kitchen with my kids. And not only does it bring me joy, but it's just a great way of just being able to move and get out of my chair and get away from the computer. And I can tell the benefits of that. So thank you for that point. Next up, we have Dr. Traci Stein, Adjunct Assistant Professor of Psychology and Education. Welcome, Traci.
Thanks, Rashidah. It's so great to be here. And I'm really happy to be talking about meditation today, because to echo the previously stated sentiments, I can't think of another time when it's been as important for us to be able to find a way to use our innate mechanisms for self-regulating, for feeling better, and for having a say in where our attention goes. So today I wanted to cover a few things in the few minutes we have together. The first is I want to talk about what I mean when I refer to meditation, and then go over a few ways that it can be helpful, things that it can help reduce and things that it can help strengthen. And then I'll talk about some ways we can incorporate meditation into daily life beyond the obvious. And if time allows, we'll finish with a brief exercise. Okay. So when I'm referring to meditation today, I'm talking about mindfulness meditation, but certainly there are other types. Mindfulness is something that many of you may already be familiar with. It's been in the common vernacular for a while. When I refer to mindfulness, I'm thinking of something that is very secular. And for me, technique oriented, but it can be much more than that. But I'm referring to present moment, non-judgmental awareness. So anchoring your attention on something in the now, like as if your attention was a flashlight beam in a dark room, and you could decide what would be illuminated by your awareness. And what happens when you do that is that everything else kind of falls into the background a bit. And I'm sure you can imagine how that could be especially helpful during a time when most people are stressed, most people are having more trouble sleeping, they are probably experiencing some challenges in relationships that have been exacerbated by separation or isolation together, or the current political climate and so forth. So I think it's incredibly helpful in general to be able to strengthen that muscle that, again, you are born with. You already have the equipment, and all it takes is learning how to use it thoughtfully and purposefully to be able to start feeling better in a number of ways. Many people probably have also noticed that when their stress is increased, not only do they have more anxiety and depression and sleep issues, and perhaps they're reaching for more comfort foods and maybe drinking too much, but they also may notice more somatic complaints like headaches. If you already have a pain condition, your pain may be more severe or more persistent, GI issues. You may have symptoms that you didn't really notice before. And so the wonderful thing about mindfulness is that it's been shown to have a number of benefits, including decreasing anxiety and depression and preventing depression relapse if you're prone to depression. Again, decreasing pain severity, helping with insomnia so that you can actually get a better night's sleep and fall asleep faster and have less rumination. Mindfulness can help people be less self-conscious, even as they become more self-aware. And mindfulness has also been shown to increase compassion. So compassion for other people, but also compassion for ourselves. And that's really vital, and I think an important component to managing our own worry and anxiety and self-critical thoughts and our own struggles with feeling down. Something else that came up in some of the questions that were submitted was how we can be have more harmonious interactions with family members and friends who have different political opinions, and where these things tend to kind of blow up. And mindfulness, because it anchors us in the moment and helps to decouple our thoughts and feelings from what we observe, it can make us less reactive. And that can help us to respond to other people or just to things in our environment in a more thoughtful way. And I'm sure you can imagine how that could be helpful. And I guess the last thing I want to mention is that not only can mindfulness help you self-regulate in general, but just achieve a state of equanimity, a feeling of being centered in general. But it can help us to live in the present. Really, that's the only time we ever have. The past that we are either longing for or ruminating about is done for all intents and purposes. And the future that we often worry about or think, well, things will be better when, we are living in every moment in the future we worried about or longed for yesterday. And so if we're not anchored in the present, it's possible to miss out on a lot of the things going on in our lives right now. So in terms of the technique, many people are familiar with breath awareness, the moving one's attention to the breath or the sensation of breathing moving in through the nostrils, or the sensation of the belly expanding on the inhalation and relaxing back on the exhalation. And that's a really wonderful way to engage in mindfulness meditation. Another way is open monitoring, where you would treat your mind almost like a screen and just notice the thoughts and feelings and physical sensations as they move onto the screen of your awareness. But again, without pushing them away or judging them or trying to hold them close, just observing them almost like clouds in the sky. And just observing as they move past. Invariably, they'll be replaced by other thoughts and feelings. But many people have said to me that they have a harder time sometimes beginning mindfulness practice in that way. And some people will find that once they try to create that inner space, they notice they feel more anxious. And that's completely normal and it's okay. One option is to notice the new feelings of anxiety as they arise and just bring your awareness back to something neutral like the breath. But another option also is to engage in other ways of being mindful. Again, just being in the present moment that may feel easier in the beginning. So Carol mentioned exercise, and mindfulness pairs actually really well with exercise. There's a budding area of research looking at mindful exercise, and among other things, being mindful can help you to notice resistance to starting an exercise program, worried about not being able to do something or feeling like it's going to be difficult, or feeling self-conscious or feeling tired. And to notice those feelings without, again, identifying with them or holding them too close or letting them balloon, and moving more of your awareness just to the act of putting one foot in front of the other. If you're walking or if you're jogging or if you're swimming, feeling the water as it moves over your skin or listening to the sounds of your arm slicing through the water. That's a really good use of mindfulness. Mindfulness can be applied to any activity, eating, and it can help prevent either over or under eating. Cleaning, homework, things that we may have, again, resistance to or feel like they're too difficult or are boring. Mindfulness just allows us to notice those feelings without having to amplify them or do anything with them. And it can actually make us do those things better. And in daily life, I think for students, especially if you're taking an exam or giving a presentation or defending your dissertation or anything, it helps to have a practice established already that can anchor you on something other than any feelings that are overwhelming. So another way to practice mindfulness would be concentrating on a sense, like your sense of smell or your sense of taste or a feeling of touch. Mindfulness does not need to be overly complicated or done in just one way. Because again, all of these things train us to move our awareness into the present moment and become more and more skillful at choosing where our attention goes. So I'm not sure how many minutes I have left. What I'd like to do is a very brief exercise, and I'd like to invite you to just, in your chair or wherever you find yourself right now, just identify a place in your body or your mind that feels neutral. And it might be something as simple as the tip of your nose or the lobe of an ear. And just for a moment, just for like 30 seconds or so, allow your awareness, most of your awareness, to move to that neutral place. And it might even be the feeling of your hand over your heart, and the feeling where your hand connects with your heart and your heart connects with your hand. And you can anchor the breath there as well. And you might notice feelings of warmth or coolness, gentle pressure. Sometimes when people move their awareness to a specific part of their bodies, they might even notice a little bit of tingling. And these are sensations you probably normally wouldn't notice at all because they're subtle and quiet. And if your attention wanders, that's fine. Once you notice that again, just as if your attention were a laser or a flashlight beam, you can bring that right back to the feeling of your hand over your heart, or the tip of your nose, or wherever your attention was originally. And you'll probably notice that you cannot have your attention equally in multiple places at once. And so any other thoughts or feelings, physical sensations, just kind of move off to the side. And what you'll find is that there might be moments where you don't notice those other thoughts or feelings or sensations at all. Just moments. But think about what that could do to help you feel calmer and more centered, regardless of what's going on around you. Just anchoring yourself in the now. Okay, so I'll leave you with that, but it's a simple technique that you can try anytime. And again, the more you practice mindfulness or any other mind-body technique, the more quickly and easily it can help you recenter. Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Traci. I really needed that today, so thank you. And it is such a helpful reminder that we all have these innate tools at our disposal to decrease anxiety and depression and pain and sleep disturbances, as you mentioned. And I was particularly moved by your point that mindfulness can lead to increased self-compassion, but also compassion for others. And I think that's really powerful and so important to keep in mind in this day and age. So thank you. I know that we have the pleasure of having students and faculty and staff here today. Our next expert will focus on some resources for employees, but I know that he will cover some important information that will be of interest to all. And with that, I would like to introduce Harry Alvia, who is the Director of Benefits and Compensation in Human Resources. Welcome, Harry.
Thank you, Rashidah. And good afternoon and happy Friday, everyone. And thanks for attending our session today. So I do want to take this opportunity to talk about wellness programs that are available to you as employees of TC. I do have a slide presentation. There is a lot of information here, so I'm just going to provide a high-level overview of these programs. And if there's any interest, if you have any interest in following up or learning more about the programs that I will discuss, please feel free to visit the Human Resources webpage. Also, please feel free to contact us directly and we can discuss the programs that are available to you. So that said, let's get started with our slideshow presentation. And the first program that I like to talk about is the Employee Assistance Program, which is the EAP. And I think most employees see this program as a counseling program, but the reality is that it has many components to it that you may or may not be aware of. Now, the service with the EAP is a confidential service that is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And those three components that you find under the EAP are, yes, number one, like I mentioned before, counseling, financial services, and legal services. So with counseling, counseling provides 5 sessions per incident per year. These are provided at no cost to you. You have the option of doing face-to-face sessions or doing phone or web-based consultations, doing a video conferencing with a therapist. So you can, when you contact the EAP, and we'll have this information later on, you have the choice or the option of speaking with one of the reps on the phone. And one thing that I want to stress here is that when you do contact the EAP, it will not be picked up by an answering service. It's not a recording. You actually will be speaking with a person who will be able to speak to you at that point in time or direct you to the service that you need. And I also want to clarify what per incident means. So let's say, there with the times that we're going about right now, there's, we have anxiety, we have depression, perhaps. So those are different instances. So you can contact the EAP and discuss anxiety issues with a counselor. You could need more than 5 sessions, but the EAP will provide 5 free sessions to you. Additional sessions will be at a discounted rate. So just to be aware of that. So one of the things that I also want to recommend is that if you seek a therapist for face-to-face sessions, and you believe that you might need more than 5 sessions, to work with the EAP program to identify a therapist that it is in your medical plan network, so that after your 5 free sessions, then your medical insurance will pick up the cost and provide some type of coverage for those services. Now, with financial services, you can, again, contact the EAP, and they will put you in touch with a financial advisor where you can discuss topics such as budgeting, credit, and or answer or discuss any financial questions that you may have. With legal services, again, you have the option of choosing face-to-face sessions or phone consultations with an attorney. Could be in the areas of civil, consumer, criminal law, family law, financial tax matters, real estate planning, estate planning. Financial services and legal services provide free consultation for up to, I would say, 30 minutes, and thereafter, you would be charged a fee. It would be a discounted fee. I would suggest that, when you do contact the EAP, that you discuss what those costs will be, so that you are aware of or what to expect when you do speak with one of these advisors. And if we move forward to our next slide, there are other services that the EAP provides, and these are identity theft recovery services. They can help you create a protection plan, or in the event that you have, I guess, been the victim of identity theft, they can help you with they can connect you with a recovery specialist to help you through that process. Other services include daily living services, such as assistance with running errands, event planning, and vacation planning. Seems kind of odd, but yes, they do have experts that will help you plan events and even plan your vacation time. The EAP also has a website. They have articles and resources on various topics, including childcare and elder care. That can help you find providers that can assist in childcare and elder care. There's tips, tools, and calculators to help you with finances, legal issues, retirement planning, and also health and wellness resources. I also want to share, as I was thinking about EAP, I wanted to share my experience just to show you what the EAP can do for you. So about 5 years ago, I was looking for carriers. I was doing Google searches for a carrier to transport a vehicle across the country and across the Pacific Ocean. And it was kind of frustrating because all those companies that I found that would offer this service had bad reviews, and I wasn't trusting the services that they would be providing, because they had, again, these negative reviews with vehicles showing up with damages and dents and that stuff that I did not want to experience. So I thought about the EAP. I'm like, they do offer all these services, let me give this a try. So I did contact the EAP. They took down my information. I told them what I was looking for. And within 2 or 3 days, I received an email with a list of carriers that would be able to transport a vehicle. I called them up, got rates, what they would charge for me to move the vehicle, what to expect. And, I signed a contract. The day came, they picked up the vehicle. Obviously now the transport company is not part of the EAP. It was just a referral service, right? So I did all that. The car, waved goodbye to the car. It was transported cross country, across the Pacific, and I picked it up within 2 weeks later in Honolulu. So that was a really pleasant experience, and I just wanted to share that with you. So you understand what services would be available under the EAP. So the question is, if you have an issue or a question per se, give them a call. They will help you. They're not going to say we can't assist you. They will provide and do research for you. So here is the contact information for the EAP. It's a toll-free number. It's available 24/7. Like I said, the person will pick up the phone. It is not an answering service. To access the online resources available to you, we present here the website. The EAP of our company we use is called MHN. So the website mhn.advantageengagement.com, and you can register with company code TCEAP, all in lowercase. And once you register, you can create your own user ID, and you can have access to the resources that they have available for you. Okay, so the other programs that we wanted to discuss with you is in the event of a medical leave of absence. Again, this is, it's a lot of information, so we'll just share what benefits are available to you. So the types of leave that you have available as employees in New York State, you have the state disability program, a short-term disability program, and the college provides a supplemental disability plan as well. And these programs coordinate and provide coverage for maternity and or any other medical condition that you may be experiencing that you need to take time off from work. Additionally, there is the New York State Paid Sick and Safe Leave Law. Recently, New York State passed new legislation. Now it's going to be a statewide Paid Sick and Safe Leave Law, which now New York City is falling back on the state benefit. So this is up and coming, and we will be sending out announcements on this new program within the next couple of weeks. Additionally, we have the Paid Family Leave Program. All these leave programs that are listed here are covered under the FMLA plan, the Family Medical Leave Act. Again, this offers job protection. And also with FMLA, you have the option of military leave that falls under military FMLA. For more details on these plans, please contact the Human Resources Department. The HR main line is listed here at 3175 extension 3. You will be routed to the benefits team, or you can reach out directly to Evelyn Fernandez at extension 6662. And the other plan that to talk about is Bright Horizons. So I believe that we know Bright Horizons to provide emergency backup care. And we have a modification to the plan. We've increased the number of available hours to employees. So right now it sits at 200 hours per year of emergency backup care. So emergency backup care, the way it works is, let's say you have your day-to-day care provider, but there may be one day, or depending on circumstances, that your provider cannot, come in to provide care for your child or your elder care provider. So that's where Bright Horizons comes in. However, Bright Horizons has also enhanced, or shall we say upgraded, the services that they're offering. And now they have this enhanced family support, and we'll talk about that now. So we said before that it was emergency backup care, but now Bright Horizons is actually providing primary child care. And as a member of Bright Horizons, you will be given access to centers to enroll your child in for to receive care. If you cannot go to Bright Horizons Center, you will receive tuition discounts at other partner centers that have contracted with Bright Horizons. Additionally, there is a service called Sitter City. You may have heard of this service before, but again, with Bright Horizons, you will have membership fees waived for this program, which is a savings of $150. So you have free access to Sitter City, and also you'll receive discounts on a program called College Nannies, which is a nanny placement service. This, again, is through Bright Horizons. During this time of virtual work and virtual education, you might have children, of course, who are working, not working, but receiving schooling from home virtually. And we know that may cause some, concentration issues, or perhaps it's not the same being in-person classes. So there are these tutoring programs available through Bright Horizons through companies they partner with, one of them being Varsity Tutors, where you can receive a 20% discount on the majority of the programs. Revolution Prep is another provider they have available, and Marco Polo Learning. As you can see here, we listed some of the discounts that are available to you. For more information, of course, please, you would contact Bright Horizons, and they will refer you to the appropriate contact where you can learn more about these services. And if we move forward to the next slide, going back to Sitter City, having access to Sitter City, you can sign up for learning pods. Again, you can locate caregivers in your area or identify any learning paths where you would like your child to attend. Again, Bright Horizons will provide you with the cost of these services. These are discounted costs. Yes, so you be aware. Just wanted to reiterate that these are discounted rates that you will receive. With elder care, there is a resource, or through Cedar City, subsidiary of Cedar City, they have a program called Years Ahead. With Years Ahead, they also provide a referral service to elder care providers. You have access to the online platform, again, no cost to you, where you can find and connect with elder care tools, resources, and providers. Additional benefits provided by Bright Horizons include assistance in helping you find, identifying pet care, housekeeping, and other services. And in the next slide, we have contact information for Bright Horizons. So to register and access these services, please visit clients.brighthorizons.com/teacherscollege. The username is Teachers College and the password is Care for You. Once you register with the page, you'll have the opportunity to create your user ID and password and to start using the services that Bright Horizons does provide for you. And speaking of working virtually or attending virtual school, let's talk about your home office. And this information comes from our colleagues at the Office of Access and Services for Individuals with Disabilities, also known as OASID. So in terms of accommodations, for example, if you have a documented disability, you may be eligible for an accommodation. And how do you do this, or what to do? Well, first of all, you would need to register with OASID. They would work with you in identifying what workplace adjustments you may be entitled to or be able to receive. It could also be adjustments related to your work schedule, or it could be any product or equipment that you need. So you would register with OASID. You can visit their website. I have that on the other slide. When you register, just be aware that you would have to provide clinical information that identifies the disability or medical condition that you may have, and you would engage in interactive dialogue with OASID and perhaps your supervisor as well. Keep in mind also that these are confidential services, so whatever information you provide to OASID, it stays between you and the colleague in OASID that would be assisting you in this process. During present time, we also have COVID-19 accommodations. Again, for these services, you would have to register with OASID, and you would have to identify and attest that you do have a health condition or other factors that would place you in a greater risk if you contract COVID-19. You would have to discuss your work environment and your concerns about COVID-19. Following up with ergonomics. So with employees who have a disability, we said musculoskeletal disorders, for example. Any review for office equipment, you would have to, again, contact OASID and determine what accommodation you may be eligible to receive. So you do that in consultation with OASID. Now, for employees that do not have a diagnosed condition, but however require some type of accommodation, we are encouraging you to visit the resources available under Columbia University. They do have an ergonomics program. Their website is presented here, humanresources.columbia.edu/ergonomics. There is information there, resources on setting up workspaces, for example. You also have the option of visiting the Columbia University Office of Work Life, their website, worklife.columbia.edu. I also want to point out that in the Work Life webpage, you'll find access to the video library where you'll find some information on, or some videos on stretching or exercises or how to set up a workstation while you're working from home. So that information is there. You will need your uni in order to access the video library. The contact information for OASID is presented here. You can email oasid@tc.edu, or you can visit their website, tc.columbia.edu/oasid/services. And at this webpage, you can do your registration for accommodation requests. And speaking of wellness, there's also the topic of financial wellness. So I just would like to bring to your attention that we have free monthly webinars available to you. These are hosted by TIA. These are listed on the Human Resources website, and here we're providing you with the November lineup of financial topics for you to access. Starting with next week on November 10th, I believe that's Tuesday, is the first webinar for the month. If you're not able to make these live webinars, you can always, access the recorded webinars. They are listed. There's a library of all topics that have been discussed. The topics do change month to month. To register and or access the library of recorded webinars, please visit the HR homepage, and you can scroll down, and under upcoming events, you will find all events, including these webinars, with instructions on how to register for these informative sessions that are available to you. Speaking again of other discounts and financial, so we have some discounts here for you as well. And these normally come from your insurance provider. So first we'll start with Aetna. For any members of the Aetna program, Aetna provides the Stay Healthy program. To access these services, you would visit Aetna.com. And here's a listing of services that you may be eligible for. At-home products, natural products, including acupuncture, massage therapy, chiropractic, and nutrition. You have discounts to gyms under fitness program, vision, LASIK discounts, vision materials. So for example, if you do not have vision coverage, Aetna does provide a discount program for materials such as contacts, lenses, or sunglasses. Oral health care is provided to you. For example, you can get discounts on sonic toothbrushes. Hearing care, again, you receive some discounts there. And you also have access to the LifeMart shopping website, which you will find in there additional information and discounts on health and wellness, tickets, travel, and family deals, and also on weight management tools. And now we'll talk about the programs available under the Emblem Health insurance plan. So to get started with the Emblem Health program and hearing more about their discount services, they have a program called Healthy Discount Program. You can visit emblemhealth.com/good health. Here again, you'll find information, discounts on acupuncture, massage therapy, nutrition counseling, Jenny Craig, Nutri-Systems, vitamins and supplements, also discounts on gym memberships, vision discounts, laser correction, hearing care, and other medical equipment. So if you're a member of the Emblem Health Plan, please be sure to visit this page to learn more about the discounts that are available under the Emblem Health program. And we also like to bring to your attention, since we're talking about discounts, discounts that you have available to you as employees. So we have wireless carrier discounts, Verizon Fios, there is technology discounts. We have corporate offers, which normally provides discounts to Broadway shows. And we know that currently there's no Broadway programming going on currently, but there are some deals still listed there for future and or what is available at this time. There's also discounts to the Sports Clubs Network, which is otherwise known as New York Sports Clubs. And just to bring to your attention that you also have access and discounts to the Columbia University Dodge Fitness Center and the Columbia University Bookstore. I also like to mention that those are currently closed, of course, due to the pandemic, but in the future, once that these services start opening up, that you'll have access to them as well and enjoy the discounts that you have with the Columbia University. You'll find this information in the Human Resources website, under employee discounts. And we move forward. And I've been talking or mentioning the Human Resources webpage as we go along. And I want to end my portion just saying that encouraging you to visit the Human Resources website. If you have not, please take a few moments. I invite you to visit the webpage. It has a new look, new categories as far as how we're presenting information. We receive positive feedback on the website, so I do encourage you to visit our page to learn more about the services and the policies and programs that we have in place at Teachers College. Thank you so much for your time.
Oh, thank you, Harry. That was incredibly thorough and certainly really helpful to hear about these programs and services that are available to employees. So thank you, and thank you for sharing your own personal story of how some of these services have been helpful for you. That was very nice to hear. So thank you for that. So next, finally, I should say, we have Matt Vincent. And so please, let's welcome Matt Vincent. Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I hope everyone is doing and staying well. If you're like me, you spend much of your day on Zoom calls, some days, probably most days. Many of us would love 1 hour free of calls to collect our thoughts, to organize our desk, or to update our to-do lists. So to address this issue in one small way, the CFOC committee is pleased to announce that Wednesdays at 2 p.m., we now will have a Zoom and meeting free hour every week until we are no longer working virtually. Again, I'll just say that we are saying on Wednesdays at 2 p.m., there's now a Zoom and meeting free hour. You can use this hour to work quietly, or if you're like me and miss seeing your colleagues socially, we are setting up a virtual Russell Courtyard where you can drop in and catch up with your colleagues on non-work related matters. We know we miss seeing our colleagues, and we know you must as well. So this is one way to stay connected. You can access the virtual Russell Courtyard on Wednesdays from 2 to 3 p.m. at the link scrolling across the bottom of the screen. The CFOC committee would like to thank President Bailey and his cabinet for making this all possible. I'd like to thank you for joining us today, and I would, at this point, welcome my fellow panelists to join me so we can answer some audience questions.
Well, thank you, Matt. I know many of us are so helpful to hear, or excuse me, so happy to hear about this meeting-free time and really a time for us to find ways to connect with one another. So thank you for sharing that. We received several questions from members of the TC community soliciting guidance on how to check in on their mental health and how to manage anxiety and depression. As a mental health clinician, I can't stress enough the importance of being able to recognize some signs and symptoms which might indicate a need for support from a mental health practitioner, such as sleep and appetite disturbances, increased irritability, difficulty concentrating, feelings of worthlessness. But some of these, symptoms don't necessarily have to reach a clinical level for you to reach out to a practitioner. And as we've heard from our experts today, there's so many tools and resources at your disposal to help to manage some of those symptoms that so many of us are experiencing right now. And so a couple of questions that came up, and I'm looking particularly to you all, Traci and Carol, because we had so many questions about, what is, a quick, what's the most effective and efficient, exercise that I could do when I have that quick break in between my Zoom calls. And, as Matt mentioned, we're on these like Zoom call after Zoom call after Zoom call. And sometimes we only have a little bit of time. Carol, what would you recommend in terms of an effective exercise or tool that we might be able to use?
Well, I think the most effective is one that you'll actually do. So I think it really varies for different people, but I would say, if you're sitting at your desk, you just need to, get up, do some getting up and down from the chair. That can help strengthen your legs. You can do some stretching, different parts of your body. You can walk around your place if you've got enough room, but if you don't, just right in place, maybe do a little dance or jump up and down a few times to just get your heart going. I think, it's really a matter of just taking a few moments to distract yourself and fit in as much as you're able to. And we do have lots of resources available on our website to give you some ideas. And I didn't mention that our services right now are free of charge. So you don't have to worry about paying if you do want to have some individual or small group counseling. But just move. It really doesn't matter what you do. Just jiggle around, and that is actually going to really help a lot.
I love that, just move. The song that's been playing nonstop in my house is from Moana, I think. I like to move it, and my 2-year-old plays that constantly. So I'll have to keep that in mind.
And it's good for your kids too, to get them more focused.
Wonderful, thank you. Traci, a similar question to you. There were lots of questions about meditative practices, and particularly, I think many people, like I'm feeling right now. I've been glued to the TV, and I'm bleary-eyed today, and but even before, just not getting the necessary sleep that we should be. And so there are lots of questions about rituals and practices that we could use to really make sure that we're keeping our sleep hygiene in check.
I'm so glad you used the word ritual, and because really, for me, ritual is just a set of practices that is imbued with some sort of meaning and intention, and they can help us to get in the habit of doing anything better, including sleeping. So one would be to piggyback on what Carol said is moving, because even doing something like gentle stretching or yoga before bed helps to release muscular tension and can calm the nervous system. And it's a form of moving meditation. So I know somebody had asked about what best time of day would be to meditate. And that's, similar to exercise, it's the time when you'll do it and can create the space for it. But certainly even a few minutes of meditation before bed is helpful. Shutting off your electronic devices and moving them out of the reach of the bed is helpful. And finding other things that give you pleasure and that are calming and that symbolize getting ready for bed for you. And when you create a ritual, that's what happens. So reading, journaling, but not, flashing blue lights from a screen. Definitely things that are naturally calming. And the last thing would be guided imagery. So some people feel like they might be too tired to meditate, but you can use guided imagery via recording, or you could record your own voice, but that absolutely can help people to get into a better space for sleep. And then finally, just attending to the things in your immediate vicinity in bed, the softness or coolness of your sheets, the softness of your comforter, the scent of your laundry detergent, just having those things be where you can anchor your awareness as you fall asleep. All of those things can help.
That's incredibly helpful. Thank you. Thank you both for that. Also what came up pretty frequently was, how, as we are coming upon the winter holidays, and on the heels of, a lot of political tension, how do we, spend time with our family members, for those of us who may be with family, and with family that have really different political and sociopolitical views from our own. And Traci, you mentioned something that really stood out to me earlier, is how even mindfulness practices can help you to stay more in the moment and respond more effectively. And certainly, as someone who believes in the importance of community and connectedness, I always think it's important to go to the relationship and share how you might be personally impacted, and to keep it in that realm. But I'm curious to hear your thoughts, and I think the community has the same questions.
It's such a great question, because it comes up for all of us. I've had that happen myself. And, certainly that extends to other interactions we have on social media and so forth, or on the phone. But one thing I think can be helpful is to have a plan ahead of time, because sometimes if we feel caught off guard, or we don't really have an idea of what's okay for us, it's harder to respond well when somebody says something that really gets us. Mm-hmm. So having an idea in mind of what it is that would feel like it would trigger a negative response, and kind of preparing for that, and choosing ahead of time how you want to respond. Having a ground rule that you set ahead of time with a phone call or an email, saying, listen, I know we're on different pages, and I love you. Like you said, stay with the relationship, but I really don't want to talk about that in the little time we have together. Mm-hmm. And I think it's okay to state explicitly too, that for somebody getting together with family now, you actually have to go through quite a lot more to do that safely. Yeah. And so I would just, if somebody brings something up anyway, you can say, oh, listen, I love you. I really don't want to use the time that we have now to talk about this. I hope you can understand. And something that I said once to a relative who really wouldn't let it go, as I said, is, let me just ask you, is anything that I could possibly say going to change your mind? And this person thought about it and said, no. I thought, me too. So maybe there's something else we could talk about. And, using humor, being humorous and non-defensive, 95-year-old Aunt Sadie, probably at this point, you've probably had the conversation before. She's not going to change her mind. So, putting things in perspective, but an ongoing mindfulness practice helps us to observe without automatically reacting. So if you haven't started one, now is a good time. But those are some thoughts, but clear ground rules for yourself and in your mind in terms of the parameters you want to set.
Thank you so much. That's really really helpful. I was taking notes in my mind. I really appreciate that. So we just have a few minutes left, and I want to welcome our other panelists for any sort of last minute thoughts or points that you think are important to make known to our community.
Stress the importance also, like I mentioned before, going back to the employee assistance program, like I mentioned, there are so many components to it, and give them a try. If you need something, like I share my example of needing to transport my car. Who would have thought the EAP would help me with that, right? So if you need assistance with anything, any question, how to find, a supermarket that sells specialty products, call them up. They will help you answer those questions. So it's a free service. Those services are free. So please be sure to use them.
Thank you, Harry. Yeah, I was really surprised at the list of things that you mentioned were actually under the umbrella of EAP. I wasn't aware of that. So thank you so much.
Sure.
All right. Well, with that, I think we can wrap up, and I'd like to first, thank everyone here on this panel. Thank you for joining us, but also thank you for all of you who are out there listening and tuning in. There is so much going on around us, and I think that it's just so important that we find ways to come back to our community, to engage with one another, because we are going to need to rely on each other to get through some of these really difficult times. So thank you, Matt and Traci and Harry and Carol. Thank you all. And look, I wish everyone a really happy and hopefully restful weekend.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.